If you feel like the quote unquote perfect life has you trapped, your success has become a prison, this episode is definitely for you. Rich, I do want to get to actionable advice number one, and you quickly grazed on it, but I do want to double down on this piece of actionable advice, which is, are you sure the life plan that you've perfectly executed was your life plan? I think that's maybe not a question that you have to ask yourself, because I know I designed my life and you did. But if we look at a young man in his early 20s, he's probably executing a plan someone else drew up for him. Now, that's complicated and a bit more nuanced because it could be a plan that he agreed to with his girlfriend, a plan that he agreed to with his parent. But something is missing in you when you're executing somebody else's life script.
Listen, I think circumstances naturally defined what your life plan ultimately becomes. And I think that's probably more of like you and I's story. But there's certainly other guys out there who have very strict parents that want their children to go to medical school, want them to go to law school, want them to take over the family business. And they're sort of handicapped in this plan because it's the plan that the family decided was the plan for you. And that's a difficult one to unpack, but I do like the actionable advice of just reflecting on that plan and making sure that whatever you're pursuing in this life, that it's the best plan for you. I feel like you only know what's best for you. You only know what's the most fulfilling journey for you. And you should absolutely take all the steps necessary to follow that plan.
I love what you're saying, and there should be some grace given for the young man who is ahead of his peers and has knocked off all the priorities that he had to knock off. It's almost like, I think it's called grandma's rule. And grandma's rule is eat your vegetables before you do anything else. I think this episode is dedicated to the young man who absolutely crushed all his vegetables. And now he's feeling like he wants to have something sweet, something a bit more pleasurable. So you can go the cheap dopamine route and absolutely turn your life into trips to Vegas, mashing out with the homies on the weekend, spending your money on frivolous gambling things like crypto or penny stocks or day trading. There's a lot of cheap dopamine out there that you can definitely get the cupcake after you had all your vegetables. But what Rich and I would recommend is do something that is asymmetric, something that has a little bit of risk so you can fulfill that feeling of feeling crazy and everything not being guaranteed. But the upside, if you execute on the risky assignment or side mission, can pay you back 100 times. And I think that's something that Rich and I have always done in our lives. We always checked off the boxes and ate our vegetables, but we always had a little bit of playtime where we can go and experiment.
I feel like every person out there should name what's missing. So don't try to diagnose your entire life. Just look at your present situation and try to figure out what's missing. It could be that you're missing a challenge. It could be you're feeling like you don't have purpose. The feeling could be you not having a brotherhood, right? Not having a sibling or a close homie to bounce ideas off of. There's a lot of things that create anxiety once you feel like you have that emptiness, that feeling that something's missing. And before you address it, you have to figure out what exactly is missing, right? What is the part of your life that feels unfulfilling and feels like, oh, I guess this is the rest of my life. So my actionable advice is name that one thing that's missing so that you can then tackle that problem.
You got to think about it. If a young man at 25 or an older guy, our age, 35, 39, is feeling this feeling every night before he goes to bed, then that means this has been on his mind for a while. And that is when you can take an action that may seem a little too chaotic because you're just trying to eat the steak in one bite. You're flirting with your coworkers. You're doing irrational shit because you're looking for this out. And what you're saying, which I love this advice because you give it so often, and it's true, is, hey, before you rush into anything, take a step back, evaluate your life, try to find out what's missing. And when you can clearly point out what's missing, then build a plan to fill that void, because you can make a lot of mistakes if you're acting out of just anger or frustration or sadness, which I assume is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, that Sunday scary feeling is, like I mentioned earlier, it's a warning sign. It's your mind, your subconscious telling you, hey, did we accomplish everything we wanted to accomplish this week? Are we going to improve next week? Are we going to do better? Are we going to say Are we going to do the things that we didn't do? Are we going to procrastinate less? Like your mind just start naturally talk to itself and you're just trying to answer all these questions about the week. And you know what's a weird concept? Just the future, bro. The future is scary if you let your mind wander too deep into that rabbit hole of the what ifs, the possibilities, the anxiety of feeling like you're not where you need to be. Like there's two different mindsets. You could think of the future as being promising and being hopeful and being like, man, I can't wait for the future. Or it could be a very scary place and you could be like, damn, I'm afraid of what the future brings because I feel like I'm not on the right path, or I don't have the right plan right now to execute on things that, or challenges that I might face in the future. So that future concept to me is very complex and very nuanced for anyone, you know?
I don't think that any man who is incredibly ambitious should overthink the future, because it's the action that will get you to that future inevitably. And everything changes. This is me from 10 years ago at 29 saying, Justin, you think you know, but you have no motherfucking idea. This is me from the past saying, everybody has a plan until they get punched in their motherfucking jaw. This is life. Life be lifing. I was actually considering naming failures Life Be Lifing, because that's all we're really talking about on this platform, Rich, is the future is never as predictable as you think it will be. But that's why you got this far, because you took the safer path. You took the path with the least resistance. And that's smart when you don't come from anything. You don't need any more instability of your life in your life when you come from a fucked up past. But now you're at a breaking point. You want a little bit of more of a challenge in your future. Well, your future is now. We're telling you, stop thinking so far ahead and stop thinking so safe. You're good. You already ate your carrots. Now it's time for a little bit of dessert. Enjoy yourself. Don't risk it all, but definitely enjoy yourself with a good old challenge. But I never really thought about it from that framing, Rich. I thought that was a really good point.
Yeah, and it's funny. Someone recently told me a good quote that I put in my pocket, which was, every dead body on Mount Everest was once an ambitious man. And that quote fucked me up because I was like, damn, that's so true. Like we don't really look at life that way, but in pursuit of something, like you don't plan for unforeseen things. And, that's what we're saying. It's just, don't.
It's managing risk, right? Like this is a 400 level episode, meaning there's way more nuance in every individual's life. So it's really hard for Rich and I to try to give the one pill prescription to each person that will solve all their problems. That's not how life works. Life be lifing, meaning you create a plan, you have a plan, the plan is a 5-year plan, and then on week 1, the plan is blown up and you have to adapt to the reality that is today. You didn't pack an umbrella, but it's raining. Well, go and either get an umbrella or take your motherfucking shirt and put it over your head until you get under some safe haven. That's what life is. These guys who planned to climb Mount Everest, they didn't even come back to tell us the story. Only people we saw was the motherfuckers who were on top of the mountain and got choppered back down. Risk mitigation is important. And this guy who's watching this episode is someone that understands how to play the safest path forward. But I think, Rich, and maybe you can help me land this analogy, there is something to be said about portfolio management. Once you have your baseline covered and you have enough money put away in a vehicle that is guaranteed to compound, when is the appropriate time for risk, and how does that relate to this guy who has probably played most of his life in 401k mode?
Yeah, listen, high risk, high reward at the end of the day. If your baseline portfolio is set to incur, let's say 4%, 5% rate of return year over year, like that is a great return, but that is a safe return. That return will never make you rich. The return that does make you rich is the high risk, high reward investments like a crypto, like Bitcoin, et cetera, et cetera. Those tend to give you the 50 to 100x returns that ultimately pays and operates the portfolio itself. So certainly risk management and knowing how to manage that risk is super important.
Non-financial advice, but a financial question. I know, I'm serious. I'm asking for the guy watching this episode, but also I do think the metaphor in money works. At what point are you okay with your portfolio having a larger amount of risk? At what age and at what point do you have to be in that portfolio?
I mean, certainly age matters, right? Like the younger you are, the higher risk you can take because you have the luxury of time. I think it's a little bit different even if you're someone in your 60s, bro, and you're feeling this feeling of void and emptiness, what we're saying is you should absolutely address whatever is making you feel like there's a void and build upon that so you can feel fulfillment, because ultimately that fulfillment is going to equal happiness. That, I think that's the root of what we're trying to get to, is that you feeling like you played life in safe mode and now you feeling like there's something missing. There's happiness missing in that equation. Sure, you're happy with your life overall. You're happy with the woman you have, your children, your job, your degree, all these things. Life is great, right? We're not saying to, we're not trying to take away from the gratitude that you should have with the life that you've built. But we're saying that every man goes through this emotion of feeling like, damn, that's it. This is what my life has become. And I think that that's a dangerous thing, because a man without ambition is like a fraction of a man, bro. You're just a shell of yourself.
You know, you're gonna love this line because I know it's one that you've told me before. I'd rather die enormous than live dormant. That's how we on it. It's a Jay-Z line from Reasonable Doubt. And I know you have the Conor McGregor shirt, and I couldn't help but think, based on what you just said, imagine a title fight. Conor McGregor makes his comeback. We know he is a decorated winner. He's won all the belts. He's probably one of the most popular fighters in MMA history, let alone fight history. Let's say Conor McGregor was a metaphor for the guy who wanted to get in the ring, keep everything he has, but doesn't want to go out glorious. He doesn't want more. What we're saying in this episode of the guy who's living the quote unquote perfect life trap, is that he's entering the arena and the ring with all these accomplishments behind him. He got in the ring and he didn't throw one more punch. He just kept his hands to his face and just played it safe all the way to the bell rang in his last fight. I promise you that if the character and the persona and the ego and the training that Conor McGregor did to get up to that moment, he wouldn't be able to live with himself after that fight, because he knows he didn't do anything to convince himself that he can maybe accomplish more. And I think that is a metaphor via Conor McGregor, via that Jay-Z line. And that's what we're saying here. If you want to live glorious, you're just trying to pursue something that's bigger than you. But living dormant is okay as well. It just means that you're living at the status quo. Your baseline is okay. You chose to play the game in easy mode. You accomplished it. You beat the game. Try playing the game on hard mode. There will be a smaller group of people that have won the game in hard mode, but I bet you when those guys get around each other, they probably enjoy being in each other's company because they all know that they've done something that most people haven't. And there is something that lives in most men that love the idea of a good challenge and a good accomplishment to wake them up in the morning. So actionable advice would be, it's okay to pursue something that's bigger than you. There is something in it, even when you lose, that's exciting.